Hello everybody and welcome to the channel, and in today's episode I'm going to be showing you how to model a tree. So over here in my game I have a forest zone and I have made these big trees over here, and I'm going to be showing you how you can be able to create trees just like this and how you can add your own touches to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I have my tree model that I made for this right over here. And if we go and look at this area, I just enlarged or shrunk the trees to match a good size. And really, you just need to make one tree model and just rotate it, make it big, make it small, and that's all you really need to do. Now you can, for example, make multiple other trees and, have like a pine tree or like an oak tree or a birch tree. I'm just doing mine just plain oak tree. That's what it's looking like. But you can be able to, every single tree, you can increase the leaf size, increase branches size. It all depends on you. But usually what I just do is I just make the tree like just make it like the entire thing bigger or smaller and just rotate it, and it turns out pretty good. So how you're going to want to make this is you just want, first of all, before we place down a part, you want to create a rig, okay? And what this is going to do is so you don't have to hop into the game every few seconds, you can just have a test dummy that's going to be the same size as your character, and you can build the tree to that size. So what I usually do is I usually start off with a 3x3 block cube, and that's not too big at the start. And I usually go, I would say like maybe like 16 blocks to start. Now there is one thing I do want to tell you is that when you click on this part, and I have a plugin, and this is called Resurface. And if you want to get this, go over to the toolbox, go ahead and search up Resurface in plugins, and go ahead and get this. It's completely free and it's trusted by over 4,000 people. And what this does is if you click on it, you have access to a bunch of different textures. For example, like inlet, universal, studs. Right now I'm using studs, as you can see. So what you do is you highlight the part, and you want to make sure that all faces is set on. Unless you want to do a specific face, then you just take that off. But anyways, you would just click on here, and as you can see, it adds studs. But if I just do all faces and click on this, the entire thing gets covered with studs, top to bottom. So that's what I use to make the trees have this like stud-like texture. And then when you're finished with it, you just click on this, and it goes away. So from here, what I usually do is I usually do Ctrl D, and what this does is it duplicates. And also you should rename your part so you can keep track of it. For example, this is the trunk, and the part that I'm about to make is going to be the branch. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this about 45 degrees. And what you can do for this is just hold shift, okay, hold left shift, put your mouse on the blue, and just drag it. And you can be able to make its position by your sizing. Or if you go up here, you can just change this to like 1, and it makes it really small increments, just like that. So then what you can do is you can go ahead and move this, okay? So I'm going to move this, I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. So right now it's 16, I'm going to make it 12, just like this. And this is going to be one of the branches. And what I'm going to do is in the properties, you click on the branch and then select properties up here. For size, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the size over here, let's see, we want to make it like 2.5, okay? 2.5 by 2.5. Just like this, because if we didn't, it would kind of like be glitchy a little bit on some of the sides. So what you can do now is go ahead and do Control D again. You can go ahead and get the rotation and just rotate it 90 degrees, just like this. Or if you want a custom rotation, that's fine. And you can go ahead and lower it down, raise it up, or keep it as it is. Now to color the tree, all you really need to do is just, actually I'm going to make this branch a little bit shorter, just to make it a little bit more unique. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to click on each of these parts, and all of them are now highlighted. So now I'm going to go over to color, and I'm going to select let's actually do brick color, and I'm going to select brown like this, okay? And then over here in color, I can actually try and, make it a little bit, make it a little bit more appeasing to whatever brown, you think. Or if you're using birch, you may want to make a little bit of a lighter color, like, like this. Maybe this will be good for a tree. This will be good for a good tree. So let's do that, okay? So now that we have our tree in place, I usually just like to have it like two branches just like this, so it's not too complicated. The branches with like many branches and stuff are a little bit, they get oh my gosh, they can get a little bit complicated. So I just like to do 2 or 3, but you can do how many ever you want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new part, and I'm just going to create this part, and this is going to be called the leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this to leaf. And for the leaves, what I usually do is I go ahead and select it in studs. I go over to brick color and I apply lime green first. It's really bright, I know, but then you just lower it down to a scale, so it looks a little bit better, and then you move it over to a color you like. So for example, I usually like shamrock, a color around here, like as you can see over here, shamrock. I usually like a color like that, and then I can go ahead and scale it. Now you can scale it however you want, but it does look a little bit better if it is the same dimensions, like 7 by 7 by 7. It does look a little better like that. And then you can just go ahead and move this over top of the branch just like this. And you can go ahead and put that, you can go ahead and move it down just like this. And you really don't want this. You really don't want it to be protruding out. You want it to be, something like that. And you can go ahead and move this in a little bit to stuff like that. So now what you can do is, all you really need to do now is just duplicate these, and if you want to change the color, like for example, on this tree model, I changed the color of each individual leaf. Now you can do that because it does look, it looks pretty good, but if you just want a solid color, that's also completely fine. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it by like 6, for example. And let me just change that manually to 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and move that there, move that, yeah. And also what you can do is you can also just rotate this a little bit just to make it look a little bit better, like this. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, as you can see over here, I have like a bunch of different leaves. I have like small ones, big ones, in the middle ones, and some of them are overlapping. Now, this is totally optional. You can just stick to 2. You can stick to 3, for example, by putting 1 at this top part, or you could just put a lot of different leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to move it over. I'm just going to make this actually a bit bigger. I'm going to make it by 10, just because it's like a centerpiece. And also I'm going to change the color a little bit. I'm actually going to go to color. I'm going to make it not too bright, but I'm going to increase this a little bit, like that. So it's a little bit of a darker green. So now I'm going to go ahead and just move this down a little bit, and I'm going to rotate this so it doesn't look like it's completely matching with the others. And then I just, if you actually make something that you don't really like and you want to reverse it to how the way it was before, just click Control Z and it'll take you right back. And yeah, so far, yeah, this is looking pretty good. And then you can go ahead and lower it down a little bit. Just make it, in the middle, something. Maybe this is a little bit big. Maybe it's just a little bit big. And also we can just do 9, 9, 9. Just like this. So yeah, that is just, a basic style of tree where you have it in the middle. And also, maybe I have to raise this up a little bit. Maybe it'll look a little bit better. Yeah. I feel like raising it up made it a little bit better. Yeah. Because you can kind of see a little bit more of the roots of the tree. So now if I move it like no. Or just yeah, that looks pretty good. And then as you can see, like you can't really see like this part. If you want to move this down a little bit so you can see it a little bit better, then yeah, that is fine. And also make sure you don't want these like overlapping little areas because sometimes they'll like bug out and stuff. So you want to kind of make sure that really doesn't happen too much. But yeah, the tree is looking pretty good. We see gaps both of these uh, in both of these branches. We got our middle leaf, we got our two side leaves all rotated very nicely. So just like with this, as you can see, we added like these little like bark pieces, okay? And with these bark pieces, they just make it look more 3D like. So like for example, you don't have to add this, but it makes it look a lot better. You can add roots, and how you would add that is create a new part and move it. Go ahead and make it like 3 or 2 or however you want. You can go ahead and move it up against here. You can like make it something like that. Um, you can go ahead and just add studs there, and then you can make it like I usually like to make it a darker color than what the tree usually is. So like, what do we have our? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to our branch, which we have that color. It's like a bronze color, and I'm going to move it over here, but I'm actually going to make it a little bit darker. So as you can see, I'm just making it a little bit darker over there, and I added this little like root area. And then I can do something very similar to the other side. I can make like um, I can make like that little, root coming out just like that, and then on the other side I could add like something. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can be able to use this for. I'm thinking, probably do position. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then as you can see over here, we had like again we have these little pieces of bark that are kind of like on the on here. So like if I move it like this, you can like not I don't need to rotate. I just need to move it over here. I can go ahead and move it up by a couple, just like that, and then I could also try and make this a little bit bigger. Just like that. And then we could raise this up a little bit. Yeah, something like that. And then on the other side, and you can also add this to like the branches and stuff. But like then you can just move this in over here. Like you can just remove that little area, make it a little bit like that. And then you can just move this up a little bit to like here, for example, and then you could also add it on the sides as well. But yeah, this is a pretty solid tree. Like I know that kind of looks a little bit weird, you know. So if you don't really like that, you can try moving it like 45 degrees, 45 or maybe, yeah, like 45. And you can move this up here. Just like that. So you know it looks kinda. And also, if you don't like it cutting into the leaf like that, you can like manually move that if you want. But then it also cuts into the stud a little bit. So I mean, up to your choice, to you. And then if we move it a little bit more, then it should be good. Okay, just like that. So we added something like this, and then if you also wanted to make it a little more 3D, you could do something like that. But then you may want to move this a little bit so it doesn't get like that. Even though people probably aren't going to see it, it's still, you know, a pretty cool aspect. And you know, you just add that to, you know, around the tree, and that's how you know, make some pretty good trees just following that process. And then also just make sure to name these like root slash bark. And that's it for this tutorial. Not a video today on the um, on the desert zone. I'm going to, you know, work on it, but I just don't really have time to do a video for it. So I just wanted to just do some sort of quick video. So I wanted to show you how I make the tree models. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.